You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So it's time for our regular interview with Dave. As always, thank you very much for joining us. If you could just introduce yourself to our listeners to refresh them who you are and where you come from.
Hi Daniel, good afternoon to you. I'm very pleased to be back. My name's Dave Harcourt. I'm the Executive Officer for Swale Community Leisure, which is the trust that runs Sheppey Leisure Complex and Swallows Leisure Centre in Sittingbourne.
Well, of course, we're, I suppose we're at the end of the summer now, so how was it at the Sheppey Leisure Complex?
Well, the summer seems a long distant memory now, of course, to most of us, but actually the summer was it was a very interesting summer. Half of the summer, particularly the beginning of August, seemed to be full of rain. I have to say I wasn't there myself. I was on leave, and I was spending some beautiful time in Tuscany, and so I was enjoying myself. I was in regular contact, but I do know that it wasn't particularly great in terms of the weather, which of course generally has a positive effect on the leisure industry, because if the weather's not so good, people tend to come in and they want to go somewhere nice and dry, or at least warm and wet if you're going swimming, where it's nice and comfortable, and they spend their time indoors. However, this summer I do get the impression that actually more and more people, even when the weather improves, did come along and make use of our facilities. So all in all, it was very successful. We had a very successful play scheme. We had lots and lots of children coming along and taking part in lots of adventurous activities, sports, things like creepy crawly days and interesting other activities they took part in. So overall, very successful. Thank you.
Now, I seem to remember that before the summer there was some issues with the paddling pools. That all been resolved now?
Yes, this was when we first opened at the end of May. There were some issues because there'd been some investment made on the paddling pool. If you just go back, I think we talked about this at the last time I was on air, that some money had been spent by Swale Borough Council on what was essentially a free facility for members of the public, albeit it does pass on to the Health and Living Centre of the complex. We don't actually have any direct involvement with its running, but of course, we like to think of ourselves as responsible people within the leisure industry, and we do keep an eye on the place. We do have agreement to empty the bins in the morning and the evening, that type of thing. But overall, the investment that's made was mainly in the plant and making sure that it was all running efficiently. And that's something we do get involved in now. We had no problems running during the summer. Everything was running smoothly. The chlorine levels were adequate, and we made sure that it was all safe for members of the public. I would say as well, it was extremely busy throughout the summer. So families who've enjoyed it historically have obviously passed the word on to ensuing generations, and let's hope that the paddling pool will be there for many years to come. Certainly with the investment that's been made, it's in a position where it's got a lifespan now, which you'd never had before. So I think it's a great facility for the public. Children come and enjoy themselves out in the open air, as you would expect to do at the seaside.
No, I understand there were a number of closures due to some power failures. I remember this as well at the time. What was the cause of this?
Well, that was quite an interesting one. This happened at the end of July, and initially there was, you may remember actually, Dan, in fact, I'm curious because I should have asked you this, whether it affected you at the radio station actually, but there were some dreadful storms, and I know we suffered with leakages in the roof in the swimming pool actually, at Sheppey Leisure Complex. One would think that water coming into the pool isn't a problem as it's wet already, but actually it was mainly the offices and changing rooms which were affected. That was all fixed, but the biggest effect, really, other than that, was the local substation. I think it must have been hit by lightning, was put out of action. And so it wasn't just ourselves, it was people living in flats adjacent to the building, were actually without power for a number of days. Now, it wasn't constantly for a number of days, it was on and off. So if the power was off for, say, 2 hours, which happened, I believe, about a dozen times altogether over a period of 2 or 3 weeks, what happens is we have to then close down the plant, And then when the power comes back on, we have to restart the plant, which is quite a lengthy procedure. And not to mention making sure we've got chlorine levels, chemical levels in the pool back up to normal, the pool's safe to go, and actually the temperature's at the right temperature as well. So for every hour or so down in power, it probably meant anything up to 12 hours down for us. So we had quite a hectic time at the start of the summer trying to keep the pool running. We managed to do so, and it looks like that fault's now been resolved by UK Power Networks, although I will say this, and I don't mind saying this publicly, we do have an ongoing battle with them to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So, and at the moment, they're unsure as whether there has been a long-term fix. I don't believe there has been a problem because we haven't had a shutdown now for the last 4 weeks. So hopefully that's everything resolved.
So also, I believe there were issues at the Swallows in Sittingbourne, which resulted in some closures as well.
Yes, and this obviously had a knock-on effect at Sheppey, because where we had closures ourselves there, it made it very difficult for members of the public. But the first thing I will explain a little bit more about what happened at Swallows, but I want to say thank you to the members of the public who actually were very supportive of the actions that we've taken on both sites, actually, to try and maintain some sort of facility for them to use. And it was a difficult time for us all, and we did our best to try and pull through that. And we had some really nice messages from our members and some casual users saying they appreciated the efforts that our staff made in trying to make them feel welcome, and also to mitigate the fact that we did have some closures. The problem at Swallows occurred. In fact, there wasn't a problem in the end, but we were warned that there was an issue of there were a couple of instances of cryptosporidosis identified in the area. This is basically sickness caused through contact with fecal matter. Now, it can't be inherently in a swimming pool because the chemicals would kill that off, and the processes in the pool, the UV and so on, would actually make sure that wasn't an issue. Unfortunately, we took the action to close the pool down because we didn't want there to be any risk whatsoever to members of the public. Now, we were exonerated by our action, and everything, all the tests came back clear, and we were actually applauded by the EHL, I have to say, the Environmental Health Officer, saying that they appreciated our action. They recognised that we'd taken that action without there actually being any identification or links to Swallows Leisure Centre, which, as it turns out, there weren't. And once again, members of the public were supportive of that action, and they recognised that we were acting in the public interest. So, whilst this caused some inconvenience to people at the time, I have to say that it was handled very well, and we are back up and running. And in fact, after the closure and the reopening, I have to say we seem to be hitting target numbers, actually. Maybe it's all that missing out on swimming in the early part of the summer allows people to actually make up for it later on. But certainly we've been busier than we've ever been.
So, on some good news, hopefully, what's the build-up to Christmas looking like?
Okay, well, I mean, now after the closures and the weather and all the issues we've had over the summer, I have to say we've gone from strength to strength. We measure ourselves against other operators in the country and around the country, and one of the things that on Sheppey in particular is very apparent is we have very low rates of attrition. In other words, numbers are dropping in relation to numbers joining. And we score much more highly than many of the other centres around the country. And I think that's something to do with the loyalty of the people on the island of Sheppey and our membership. People like what's happening there. They like what services are delivered, and they must like the environment. And I think that's really quite heartening to hear that, because our membership base is growing and growing. And of course, it does mean we're getting busier and busier. And the excitement really for me is we've got a problem now, but a great problem, because we have to find ways to increase our capacity. And we are looking at that, and we're working with Swale Borough Council to see what we can do to offer better and more interesting and greater capacity facilities at the leisure complex. So we're hoping to have some results in the early part of next year in terms of what we're going to do to make those improvements. And what we're hoping, again, is that we can actually offer more and better gym facilities for one, better sports facilities, and also greater capacity within the swimming pool. So there's lots happening, lots going on in the background, and we're hoping to be able to let people know more about that in the new year.
Is there anything else you'd like to cover?
Okay, I think just to expand upon that, of course, the planning that we're having at Sheppey is also extended to Swallows and Sittingbourne, and we're working harder and harder to try and get the message to people about health and fitness, staying active, and taking part in interesting, enjoyable, fun activities. And one of the things we've done over the summer, which has been a success in terms of outreach, we've been working with partners around the borough, and we've attended something like 12 to 14 community events. We've had thousands of people come along and see what we've got on offer in terms of swimming, gym and sports facilities. And the uptake in that has been tremendous. And lots of people who've never visited leisure centres before shown an interest. And of course, you hear on the news all the time about the obesity epidemic, about the cost to the NHS of bad health and those types of things. And actually, there's a lot of self-help which people make to try and prevent those things happening. And I do believe that people want to find out more about staying fitter and healthier. So we're building, and we're not just working in the centres, we're going into parks, community centres, schools, and all those different types of locations, and making sure we get the message out that there is affordable availability for people to come and use the facilities, have a great time and get fitter and healthier. So let's move on with that, and let's hope that picks up even more in the new year.
Well, as always, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to us here at BRFM Bridge Radio on the Daniel Monday Night Community Show.
Thank you very much, Dan, and hopefully see you again.